Imagine waking up to find that the rules around your green card, the very document that secures your life, work, and future in the United States, have changed overnight. Sounds stressful, right? Well, that's exactly what's happening this August 2025. USCIS has just announced a new set of regulations, and these changes could directly impact you and your family's status, benefits, and even your path to citizenship. Now, here's the thing. Many green card holders are unaware of these updates until it's too late. Don't let that be you. These new rules aren't just minor tweaks. They cover everything from renewal requirements and stricter documentation checks to updated filing fees and timelines that could either fast-track your process or throw it into unexpected delays. If you've been planning to travel, sponsor a family member, or apply for citizenship soon, these changes could completely alter your plans. For example, did you know that USCIS is now implementing enhanced background checks that may require additional evidence from applicants? Or that some fee adjustments will hit harder for renewals than for first-time applicants? And there's more. Certain categories of green card holders might see new obligations to report address or employment changes more frequently, with severe penalties for noncompliance. These aren't rumors. These are confirmed updates that every green card holder needs to understand before August ends. In this video, I'll break down exactly what's changing, who's affected, and most importantly, how you can prepare so that you're not caught off guard. You'll get clear explanations without the confusing legal jargon, plus practical tips to stay compliant and protect your status. So if you want to stay ahead of these changes and make sure your green card remains secure, stick around, because this information could save you a lot of time, stress, and even money. Before we dive in, do me a favor, hit that like button to help more green card holders just like you stay informed. Now, let's get into the full breakdown of these August 2025 USCIS rule changes. All right, let's dive right in, because these new USCIS rules for August 2025 are already creating a lot of confusion, and I don't want you to be one of those people scrambling at the last minute. First off, let's talk about why these changes are happening in the first place. Over the past few years, immigration policies in the US have been shifting, sometimes in your favor, and other times making things harder than they need to be. USCIS says these new rules are part of an effort to modernize the system, tighten security, and improve processing efficiency. Sounds great on paper, right? But in reality, for green card holders like you, it means you have to be extra careful about staying compliant and up to date with every single detail. One of the biggest updates you need to know about is the change in renewal and replacement requirements. If your green card is about to expire or if you've lost it, the process is no longer as straightforward as it used to be. USCIS is now requiring additional evidence when you file Form I-90 for a renewal or replacement. That could include proof of continued residence, proof of employment, and in some cases, more detailed travel history. They're saying this is to prevent fraud, but what it really means is that you need to start keeping your documents more organized than ever before. Imagine getting your renewal application delayed just because you didn't have a copy of a tax return or a utility bill that they suddenly ask for. You don't want to be in that situation. Now, let's talk about fees. Nobody likes talking about fees, but it's important. Starting in August 2025, USCIS is rolling out a new fee structure. Some applications will see only a slight increase, but for green card renewals, the fees are jumping more than many expected. For some categories, this could mean paying an extra $100 or more. And while that might not seem like a huge amount to some, for many families it's an unexpected hit to the budget, especially if you weren't prepared for it. I've already spoken with people who are rushing to file before the new fees kick in just to save some money. So, if your card is expiring soon, it might be worth filing sooner rather than later to avoid those higher costs. Another major change that you need to pay attention to is enhanced background checks. USCIS is tightening the screening process for all green card holders who are applying for renewal, adjustment of status, or naturalization. This means they'll be digging deeper into your history, including employment records, travel outside the US, and even social media in some cases. I know it sounds intrusive, but this is the reality we're dealing with now. If there are any discrepancies or gaps in your records, they will notice. So my advice? Double check all your information, make sure everything lines up, and if there are any issues, address them before you apply. You do not want to be caught off guard with a request for evidence or, worse, a denial. Speaking of naturalization, for those of you who are on the path to citizenship, there's also an important update. The processing times for citizenship applications were already long, but USCIS is making some adjustments to how they schedule interviews and review cases. They're promising that the process will eventually become faster, but in the short term, you might actually experience delays. So if you've been thinking about applying for citizenship, don't put it off. The sooner you get your application in, the better your chances of avoiding those bottlenecks that are bound to happen with these new rules. There's also a new requirement that a lot of people aren't talking about yet, and that's the increased reporting obligations for certain green card holders. Specifically, those who have conditional permanent residence, like spouses of U.S. citizens or investors under certain visa categories, will now have to report changes in their address, employment, or marital status more frequently. USCIS is setting stricter timelines for these updates, and missing a deadline could lead to serious consequences, including the risk of losing your status. I've seen cases where people assumed they had more time to report a change, only to get a notice of intent to revoke their status. Don't let that be you. Travel is another area where the new rules are going to have an impact. If you travel outside the US frequently, you need to be extra cautious. USCIS is now flagging cases where green card holders spend long periods outside the country. Even if you have a reentry permit, extended absences could raise questions about whether you still maintain your residence in the US. This could delay your renewal or even put your status at risk. So, if you're planning any long trips, make sure you have all the proper documentation and try to limit your time outside the US as much as possible. Another point worth mentioning is the impact on family sponsorship. If you've been planning to sponsor a family member for a green card, you might face some new hurdles as well. USCIS is tightening income requirements and scrutinizing affidavits of support more closely. They want to be sure that the sponsored person won't become a public charge. So, make sure your finances are in order before you start the process. This is one of those areas where preparation makes all the difference. As we go through all these updates, remember that you're not alone in this. Millions of green card holders across the country are dealing with the same changes, the same worries, and the same questions. The important thing is to stay connected, share information, and support each other. That's why I make these videos, because I know how confusing and stressful immigration rules can be, and I want to make it easier for you to understand what's going on. So, here's the bottom line. These new USCIS rules for August 2025 are a big deal. They affect renewals, fees, background checks, reporting obligations, travel, and even your path to citizenship. Don't ignore them. Take action now to make sure you're ready. Keep your documents organized, stay on top of deadlines, and if you need help, don't hesitate to reach out for professional advice. The more prepared you are, the smoother this process will be. And that's why it's so important to stay informed. Changes like these can come quickly, and the only way to protect your future is to know what's happening and what you need to do about it. You've already taken a great first step by watching this video, and I'm here to keep you updated every step of the way. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you again, if you found this information helpful, if it gave you some clarity or peace of mind, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It helps this video reach more green card holders who need to hear this. And don't forget to subscribe, because I'll be covering even more updates as they come in. You don't want to miss any of it. Thanks so much for watching. Stay prepared, stay positive, and take control of your future. Now, let's move on to the detailed breakdown of each rule so you can see exactly what applies to you.